Entrepreneur, author, speaker, shark. Here's my one-on-one with ABC Shark Tank Daymond John. We talked about how he started his company FUBU and the role Hampton Roads played in getting it off the ground.
All right, Daymond, I love your story. I love that you saw a problem when you started FUBU, going down the streets of Queens, and saw the hats were overpriced, and you decided that you could make them and make more money that day. How did you know that you could actually execute and do that at that time?
Well, I actually didn't know if I could do that. I knew that, my mother taught me how to sew those hats, and I knew that I could then sell them to make a couple of dollars. But it wasn't until probably later on, maybe about 2-3 years after that, that I realized that there was something there. And I'm not certain the year, but believe it or not, it was here, Virginia Beach. I came down here. For at that time, Teddy Riley used to throw a big event. And I was down here, and the music artist, The Brat, had a song out. And I went up to her, and it was on stage. I happened to have some friends there, and I asked her, could she wear the product? And she said, oh, I've been looking for this forever. I'll wear it. Because I had already placed it in a couple of videos, but that was the first time that I had ever been able to actually interact with an artist. And then after that, it just kept happening, kept happening, kept happening.
So you talk about one of the growth strategies for FUBU was you're able to get your clothing line in music videos and have other people do that. How are you able to get that in front of them, and what did you do specifically to convince them to take on a nobody, basically?
Well, at that time, rap was very young and pure, and you can easily get around to the artists and their surrounding friends. But the reason why I had said for making the hats to 2-3 years later was I focused on the local celebrities, meaning the person that everybody looked up to in the community. That person could have been a high school football player. That person could have been somebody that owned a really great, cool clothing store, and they were selling everybody else's clothes. So that what we would call today influencers, the people that today, may not have a public stage like ABC or E networks, but 5 million people follow them on Instagram because they just may be a mommy blogger, a mompreneur, a great chef, a foodie who talks about things, a blogger. So we always started with local entrepreneurs and or influential people. And then the artists, when they come back to their neighborhoods, go, what's all that stuff you're wearing? Yeah. Oh, you didn't know, you were so busy on tour, Mr. Big Shot. You should probably want to try to wear something like that. And that's how it worked.
I've heard you in an interview before say that counterfeit clothing really helped you do that. When did you first see that counterfeit clothing was something, or that you could find that people weren't wearing genuine FUBU stuff, and how did that influence the growth?
Well, counterfeit clothing, you have to look at it a couple of different ways. There are people that are going to make your product out there, and they're not going to pay you for it. And then there are people out there who, whether they couldn't afford your product or couldn't find it, they would have never been a customer anyway, that if the counterfeit, they buy that, then what happens is it's a form of a billboard, it's advertising, but it also is not taking a customer out of your market that you were going to obtain anyway. And the reality of it is, it's kind of, if you can't beat them, join them, because if you look at the counterfeit market, they do so much. You can go spend all your money in your company, all your profits trying to fight it, and you wouldn't put a dent in it. So find a way to use it to your advantage.
When someone, a lot of people hear no and they quit. How have you taken no and turned it into a yes in business?
Well, first of all, a no is always an absolute maybe to me. And when people all agree and you get the lowest common denominator, and often no is because the person just can't foresee, or they don't have the vision. And I've often said, if they were all going to say yes, then there wouldn't be a reason for you to exist, because everybody would have thought of the things that you're going to go and accomplish. So I really I just don't take no as an answer. It just doesn't exist to me.
And I love that, an absolute maybe. I love that, trying to figure out to change and tweak a couple words or something like that.
It's definitely another way to approach it, but you know what, the thing is that the answer is always going to be no unless you ask, right? That's just what it is.
Stick around, I have more with Daymond John, including his advice for new entrepreneurs. It's next on HRBW.
So you're here at Regent University. What are you expecting today, and why are you here?
Well, you know, I'm here at Regent, and I'm here to thank everybody who has supported the Daymond John Center for Entrepreneurship, and I'm here to also talk to the existing students and the new students about our courses and meet all the great professors, and give a speech that hopefully will inspire people to want to further their education in what I'm doing. And I want to thank Regent for having this agenda to take the mindset of entrepreneurship and make it something for the masses.
Entrepreneurship is a huge thing in America right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people love it. Your show is one of the reasons why. Why is entrepreneurship so important, though, and how is it going to influence the way we do business for the next 10, 15 years?
Well, you know, it just happens to be that it's brought to everything that happens today because of social media is kind of brought to the light. I don't believe that entrepreneurship is something that is just hot today. I mean, that's what this country is founded off of, to be honest. And I believe that it was the Kaufman Foundation that pointed out, I think between the years of 1983 to something like 1999 or even 2001, that 95% of the employment and of this country was done by companies 5 years and younger. So that's in the 83 all the way up to that point. So that doesn't mean that entrepreneurship is old. It's just another phrase to it. You know, I think it's very important. I think because it's the small businesses, the startups that feed America. I think it creates ingenuity, and it's why we are who we are as a country. We have that, what they call that black box in this country, where we are not questioned for challenging change. And I just think entrepreneurs are on the forefront of challenging change.
You talked about social media a lot. Do you post your own social media, or do you have a team that does it for you?
I post all my social media. There is a team that does other posting for me, but it's approved by me, and we go over it so that, you know, at certain times when I'm busy, but it's an amazing holiday or a day that we need to acknowledge something, we've already created some kind of graphic or something like that that goes up. But they go and they post it, but I have to approve it. But don't get me wrong, there are a lot of young, brilliant guys and girls that work on my team that we work back and forth, and I learn from them on how to post it.
For someone that might be on the fence about starting a business,
yeah,
what piece of advice would you give them?
Don't quit your day job. Go into the business as somewhat of a hobby at first and set yourself some goals. If you're going to put 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours into it a week, and then turn around and say, when am I going to make this decision? 6 months into it, a year, because that time will start compounding, and they'll start to see if they really want to be part of this new venture or this new aspect, or do they want to just keep their day job. Just stick your toe into it. Don't go and leverage everything and mortgage the home and, you know, and quit your day job, and then you don't even know if you're passionate over this, if it's going to be successful or anything else. You have to do your homework, and you have to put in the time.
We live in an area here, the Norfolk, Virginia Beach region, which is 3 large industries: military, tourism, and ports. Those are very kind of old industries. What would you say to them, those industries, to try and innovate and spur innovation and entrepreneurship for the growth of this region?
Well, you know, listen, I always say that as much as there's the fundamentals, if you operate the fundamentals of it and you utilize this new world of technology and this new world of delivering a message to somebody, you can actually transform that business into being something new. So whether you had said to us, oh, well, you know, we just do, we're a service-based industry and we have limousines, and then somebody comes out with Uber in the town, there's always going to be a new form of delivery. So you just have to find out how to master what you guys and girls have already mastered out here, because there's an infinite amount of knowledge in running those industries, and how do you put that together with a new form of delivery, a new technology, and then you get to master that.
Great. Appreciate it.